What up, Search fam? It's Tuesday. Grab your tea. Let's get started. All right. Hello, my dear ones. Welcome back to the channel. So today, me and Honey Senpai are enjoying some elderberry lemon balm immune and stress tea, and it has ashwagandha in it. This has been my jam as of late because the weather has finally changed and it's been getting cold, but like last week it was hot, and you know that breeds sickness. So I've been trying to get ahead of it because you know nowadays in the life and times of a Polly Pocket, you never know if it's the common cold, the influenza, or the Rona. So I got to be more careful. If you all have been following me for a while, you'll know that my channel has evolved. My sort of tagline for Shardesearches has gone from showing you how to travel smarter, pack lighter, and search deeper within yourself to this idea of curating and co-creating a cool ass life. Like, that's the thing that hit me this year, and so I changed my whole, I have sort of made my sort of branding around this thought, and this has been sort of driving my life, at least for the last however many months, and probably forward into 2022. Like this, I think I nailed it this time. This idea of manifesting is becoming more prevalent. And if you watched one of my former podcast videos where I talked about aligning your manifestations, then you'll get a sort of sense of why I'm picky about that term, right? And so for me, when it comes to my life, I have moved into a space where I am really getting very picky about what I want, the experiences I want to have, who I want to be, how I want to dress myself. And I think that is partially a byproduct of my age, but also of the experiences that I have had. And so I think it's important to sort of think through like why this might be a way forward as you're thinking about your own life and your own journey and how you are, you know, cultivating yourself and cultivating the sort of life you want to live. So when I talk about curating, and curating is very much tied to the arts world, yeah? And the sense that when you think of a curator, you think of someone that works for a museum who picks out the artwork that speaks to the gallery or the theme of a gallery and things like that. So I thought it very interesting to sort of consider my life to be the gallery of which I am the curator of. And in doing so, it has made me be much more mindful over what I want in my life, what I want, who I want, how I want to show up in the world. A curation mindset really does make you think really hard about what you allow in. And that's why I want to encourage us to be thinking about is what are we letting into our lives, right? When you look at the experience, the human experience you're having day to day, does it reflect what you ultimately want for yourself? And if not, what are we doing? What can we do to change the behavior, change the habits so that your life reflects on the outside what you envision on the inside? And this has shown up in a number of ways for me. I think the most easy way to sort of think about this is in terms of wardrobe. When I was in my 20s, and this is a lot of, you know, my mindset at that time and sort of my belief systems, that you had to show yourself, and like accumulating things had meant that you had done something, looking a certain way, falling into the trends, and showing that you were stylish and things like that. Like, I did all that in my 20s, right? And because of that, accumulated a lot of fast fashion, and I have not totally gotten away from fast fashion. I am a lot more mindful about how I purchase it, but at the moment, I don't have the budget for a lot of the more well-made things. So for some things, like I save up to get them, but when it comes to buying a pair of jeans, like if I wear out a pair of jeans and I need a new one, it may or may not come from like a Torrid or wherever else people with big hips buy jeans from. And although I'm mindful of the sort of ramifications of that, sometimes you also just have to be where you are at the moment. So this is not to demonize people who are not able to go the full like eco-friendly route, but it's more so being very mindful about when you purchase, how you purchase, what you're purchasing. So one of the things that was big for me in the last year or so is cultivating a sort of color palette for myself. I have always been a big proponent of black. It's my thing. I am wearing black right now. And I am more of a neutrals kind of person. So when I think about like my wardrobe and how I want to dress, yes, there will be a lot of black, but I also think about colors that I actually am comfortable and like wearing over and against, just picking things up because I think they're pretty in the moment, but more so thinking of the longevity of a clothing item and how it sort of resonates with who I am and how I want to show up in the world. And so because of that, it's been a process of me starting to not only go through my closet and get rid of things that do not align with my actual physical body at the moment, but also with how I want to show up in the world. So you'll see a lot of black in my wardrobe. There are, neutral blues in my wardrobe, but also mustard, burnt orange, and teal or green. You gonna see cis in those things because those things give me joy. I think they look best on my skin tone, like all of those things. And so when I take that sort of mindset of being very picky about how I aesthetically show up in the world, I think about what I want my home to look like, what kind of sanctuary that means. Like, what does that need? Do I suffer from having a lot of clutter now, which I do because I've accumulated things in this space and now I'm having to get rid of them because they no longer, like, I don't need them, I don't use them, they have just been sitting there and I haven't even thought about them. So now that makes me want to be even more mindful about the things that I purchase because I really want to get use out of the things. I want to have a space that has room for the spirit to move through, as it were. So when I think about those things, which are just like, those are very physical and sort of tangible things that you think about. But in terms of like the more intrinsic things, like my friend group, I have curated a group of friends that are fantastic. And part of that has been, just kismet, us clicking over various things and then engaging in relationships for the long term. Like, my friends have been my friends for the most part for over 5 years. Most of my close friends have been my close friends for over 5 years. And my best friends have hit the 10-year or more mark in my life. And I'm at the point in my life where I have, 10, 15-year friendships, which is kind of wild. But beside the point, when you think about your friend groups, are these equitable relationships that both you and the other person or persons nurture? Do you put the same amount of effort into being in one of another's lives? Do you find that they fill your bucket and sort of add value to your life in the same ways that you add value to their life? Because when you think about, friendships dissolving, it may be that they're not bringing value into your life, but also you might not be bringing value into their life, and maybe that's reason enough for the relationship to dissolve, right? And so cultivating friendships and curating friendships is also a way of of thinking through and being very intentional about the sort of interactions and experiences that you want to have. When I think about my career, what do I actually want to do, so I don't as easily engage in things that are not in alignment with the human experience that I want to have. So I think about now at this point, like I am entering the workforce as a professional because I finished school. I now have a PhD, and the expectation is for me to go be somebody's professor. And why somebody would do that, I don't know. But nevertheless, here we are. And she is now about to be somebody's professor. But I have to think about, what kind of experience do I want to have in the workplace? Just having a job isn't enough for me at the juncture I am in my life. I cannot do things for the sake of doing them for the most part. And so I think cultivating a curation mindset makes us be more mindful, more intentional. And that's what I mean about sort of aligning, what I meant when I said aligning your manifestations. Curating your life around the things that you actually want, and really taking time to sit and think through the sort of human experience that you want to have and what needs to be in it, what moves you need to make to ensure that you get closer to having those things, really is a soul searching sort of endeavor, because you have to think about your values, you have to think about your beliefs, and be willing and flexible enough to release the things that no longer serve you, to make more space for the things that you do want. And in doing so, you free up space in your heart, you free up space in your house, you free up space in your relationships to invite in more of the things that you actually want, instead of just accepting the things that you have because that's what stumbled into your life, that's what fell into your lap, especially when it's not giving what it's supposed to, right? If it's not offering the sort of value or fullness or joy or fulfillment that you want, then it might be time to move away from that thing and really think about, well, if this thing, if this relationship, if this aesthetic, if these experiences that I have do not provide me with the experience that I want, well, what is the experience that I want? And when I figure out what that experience is, what things are related to that, what things fit within that sort of vision of what I want, how I want to feel, how I want to look, how I want to express myself, how I want to interact with others within the world, And I think it gives us a sort of rich ground to really create the sort of life that we want to have, over and against just sort of feeling like we don't have as much agency to make change, or that our changes are really constrained by things. I'm just saying. I have found that beginning to cultivate a mindset around curation, or cultivating a practice of curating the things in my life, has definitely increased my intentionality and made me sort of transform and welcome the change that comes with examining my wants and my needs and really going after them. Let me know what you think. Are there things in your life right now that you are changing or want to change because you're looking to have a different experience going forward? Let me know. As always, friends, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend about the channel, and I will see you in the next one.